I'm sure you will be delighted to discover that books are also talking about Boko-Haram. And this is the first anthology of literary works on Boko-Haram, published in 2019. The first anthology. And that insurgency has been blighting northern Nigeria for the past, in fact, 25 years or more, causing the death and dislocation of millions. Responding to the perceived world apathy, its loud silence, and the absence of memorabilia, the 4 editors, 3 of whom are posted at the University of Maiduguri, have taken to literature to attract global attention to the crisis, using the name of the site of the Markas near Maiduguri. They gathered texts from 28 contributors, 15 male and 13 female, most of them already confirmed and published writers. 3 of the authors, Razinat Mohammed, Abubakar Othman, and Tanure OJAIDE, contributed 4 texts each to the various parts of the anthology. The 4 pages devoted to the contributors' bios confirm that the conflict has affected the whole of Nigerian states and ethnicities. Contributors come from all corners of the Federation, from Abuja and Lagos to Enugu and Maiduguri, from Bayelsa, Borno, and Gombe states. It also reveals the vibrant literary scene of the vast country that is Nigeria. Agema Vashima and Folu Agoy are both editors and award-winning authors. George Chukwu is a prolific blogger. The link between universities, the teaching and literary sector are equally highlighted. Ruth Bakiri just finished her master's degree. Hassana Maina, Zugu Armstrong, and Abubakar Joda are students in law, English, and pharmacy. Wiki Sylvester, Odi Giwa, Jumai Mustafa, Tadi Yerima, and Adama Idrisu lecture in universities. The presence among the contributors of a marriage counselor and a federal disability mobilization officer reinforce the message of the widespread revulsion at the Boko Haram continued violence. The volume is dedicated to those affected by Boko Haram in their socio-cultural, economic, and political lives, and divided into 3 parts, 2 of which are devoted to poetry, while the third offers 8 texts gathered under the title Fiction and Non-Fiction, revealing the reality hidden under the fiction. The introduction offers a definition of Boko Haram and gives a brief history of that movement, started as a Quranic school with Kanuri elements in 2002. Before the violence of these members started tearing apart the neighboring states of Borno, Yobe, and Adamawa from 2009, and bringing about the declaration of a state of emergency in 2013 in those 3 northeastern states. The editor's first concern is to highlight the ramification of the movement in Mali, Niger, Chad, and Cameroon, and reflect on the causes of the insurgency. They quote the poet Shehu Shani on the subject, suggesting that Boko Haram has been fueled by a combination of 20 factors, including poverty, social inequality, jihad, Islamic teaching, regional unrest, governmental negligence, the Nigerian army incompetence, and the desire to fight corruption. Possible solutions to restore peace are then listed, including the dialogue, considering the failure of military efforts. Johanna suggests learning Arabic to communicate, but none of these solutions seems reasonable. The value of the volume lies outside this presentation, in the powerful and heart-wrenching account gathered from poems and prose texts loaded with contrasts, whose words keep echoing each other. The poetry section might well have adopted one of Diana Ake's poem as a title, Centenary Condolences. Condolences, my country, condolences. 100 tears for your hacked men and women, another 100 for your youth in the implacable half of a yellow sun. The poems contextualize the situation, mentioning Sudan, Egypt, and Libya, while contrasting past and present, the sweet dates of Markas, the metaphor of life, and the daily experience of death and destruction, affecting all those living in those parts. Some words keep reoccurring in that blood-soaked landscape. Kaduna, Kano, the two neighboring states' capital, then Maiduguri, capital of Borno State, Sambisa Forest, Chibok. Other keywords serve as landmark, with their repetition contributing to weave a web of destruction, tears and cries, general insecurity, killing and disappearance, broken ports, disorientation, abandonment, nightmares. One line after line recalls emaciated children in the nest of tears, torched villages, orphans and refugees on the road, bereft families threatened by hyenas, vultures and rodents on the rampage, and cries of agony from the forest. The poets lament the girl bomber too young to understand and struggle to explain the Boko-Haram killing in the name of God and country. The explanation is that of a holy book turned upside down. The terrorists are the real infidels who profane the word God is great. They have no religion, no faith, they say, and are neither human nor beast, just mosquitoes. Then there are additional worries. First of all, that not so long ago, the beasts were babies. Southerners, which have been victims too, are accused of inertia. They that raise hell only when churches are bombed in the north, but look away when the victim is a non-Southerner. Salahu remembers the past, when as a child it belonged to everyone. If you harmed one, you harmed us all. That was love before. In the end, the only way out is prayer. When is the end? God deliver us. Another poem ends with the Igbo night salutation. May our day break. Kachifu. All the wishes, farmer, pupil and housewife, was a normal life. In the midst of blood and tears, rare moving images reveal the resilience of a population whose hope of return, peace and renewal, expressed in Amajoi poem Ode to Leah Sharibu, the teenage Amazon, is still alive. Amina shares her lunch with Mary because innocence knows no friend or infidel. The volume is a wake-up call that testifies to the determination to keep speaking through silence, through tears and wounds, to raise people's awareness. In a carefully choreographed sequence, the very short second part of the collection, presented as an appendix to the first part, engages the conversation between poets, presenting 5 poems which talk and respond to each other on the subject, "The fear of Boko Haram is the beginning of wisdom," confirming poetry as a powerful communication tool. The third part, born of the same agony, lines up each 8 short stories, which help readers penetrate deeper into the northern landscape, focusing on the devastating impact of violence, abduction, displacement, unwarranted killings, and rape on families. 2 of these stories are written by the 2 most represented editors and contributors, both from the University of Maiduguri, Mohammed and Othman. Each of the titles contributes to the assembling of a puzzle, piecing together fragments of stories from that embattled landscape. My Daughter, My Blood raises the timely, painful issue of returning abducted schoolgirls impregnated by Boko Haram. The third story, Home is No Place to Stay, summarizes the entire book, offering the heart-wrenching reflection of another couple whose daughter has also been abducted but never returned. In Dashed Hopes, a widow laments the loss of her leg in a blast. Other stories consider other faces of the issue. Rite of Passage reveals the deleterious effect of corruption in displaced persons camps in Borno, seen through the eyes of a Yoruba volunteer. Flying Over the Crisis puts into words the reality that for victims, death had become a constant companion, while considering the postulation that most of the NGOs grew fat on the Nigerian northeastern crisis without adequately doing anything to alleviate the suffering. Command and Compliance shows the uneasy relationship between the university and the army abusing its power. They Call Me Helen helps readers get under the skin of a traumatized displaced girl rescued from the north and grateful for getting another second, minute, or week to live, only to end up raped and impregnated by a schoolteacher. The Long and Empty Road, the only text bringing in politics into the mix, describes the two major parties, PDP and APC, are two faces of the same coin, and concludes that the military seem unable to cope with the insurgents better equipped. This anthology, put together by insiders from Nigeria, is definitely a precious testimony of another forgotten conflict.